I wanted to speak with you today about a study that was published in the British medical journal, The Lancet, by Dr. Hajivasulu and other researchers, and they called it gluten sensitivity from gut to brain. And it focused on a very important aspect of gluten sensitivity and celiac disease, and that is how gluten affects the brain. And that ties in very strongly to why we have so much trouble diagnosing celiac disease and gluten sensitivity. If you didn't know, we diagnose a mere 3 to 5% of those suffering. So 95 to 97% of those suffering from celiac disease are not diagnosed. They're suffering, they have no idea why. I believe the numbers are likely higher with gluten sensitivity, considering there's not really a formal test that has been agreed upon that's universally accepted to even diagnose the problem. So it's likely worse. So we're not looking at very good statistics here as far as our ability to let people know that a change of diet could make a huge difference in how they felt. The fact that gluten affects the nervous system has been known for well over 30 years, going back to 1966. I guess we're almost 45 years in the making, yet it wasn't until 1999. I got the 30 years from the fact that 1966 was the first look into the fact that there was an association with gluten in the nervous system, and then 30 years later in the 90s was when more research started coming to the fore. But for having known this for a very long time, it is not at all unusual for me to hear from people from all over the world saying, you know, I think I'm different, I think I'm unusual, because for me, gluten seems to affect me as far as my brain and my nervous system. I have depression, I have anxiety, I have ataxia. That means unstable gait. You're walking and you don't feel very secure in where the floor is and where the walls are. You feel unsteady, almost as if you were drunk. Seizures, migraines, a myriad of symptoms associated with the nervous system. And I often hear from people saying, I guess I'm unusual because I don't have digestive symptoms, but I really do think gluten's affecting me because when I don't eat it, I notice these neurological symptoms improve. And what this study looked at was the fact that those people are not at all unusual. In fact, they're quite usual and common. Yet, if you go to many gastroenterologists, specialists in the digestive system, let alone your general practitioner, and say that you have these symptoms and you want to be tested for celiac disease, if you have no digestive complaints, you'll often be refused. They won't even bother to test you because they're so convinced that if you don't have digestive symptoms, you couldn't possibly have the disease. Yet in this research, they say quite the contrary. Not only are nervous system symptoms often preceding digestive symptoms, but sometimes they're the only symptoms present at all. As a matter of fact, they found that in those suffering from gluten-induced ataxia, once again, that's the problem feeling steady with walking and moving, that less than 10%, even though they knew that the nervous system problem, the ataxia, was caused by gluten, less than 10% of them had any digestive complaints. So really corroborating the fact that you do not need to have digestive complaints to have a gluten problem, and certainly nervous system problems are very, very prevalent with this. So the reason I'm talking about this, of course, is there are so many people out there suffering that have no idea why. They have seizures, they have migraines, they have this problem with ataxia, depression, anxiety, on it goes, and they have no idea why. And they're being treated with dangerous medications, their lives are very compromised, they're not able to enjoy their life because of these symptoms, and a change of diet could make all the difference in the world. So what I'd love for you to do is to share this with others. Look around your family, your friends, those that you know, and let them know about this association. Certainly getting tested for celiac disease or gluten sensitivity isn't difficult. If your doctor refuses, all right, contact me, I can help you out. Or if you want to do a 30-day trial and see how you feel, that's certainly an option as well. A little bit about testing that I mentioned a moment ago. We have been testing for the classic test for celiac disease is called TTG. It's a little t and then capital T, capital G. It's the way it's written, but it stands for tissue transglutaminase. Transglutaminase is an enzyme. It's found throughout the body, but specifically for celiac disease, it's looking at the damage that occurs to the small intestine. And what the researchers also mentioned in this study was the fact that we really should be calling this test TTG2 because there's actually 9 different varieties of this enzyme, and to date we only know what 3 of them do. The TTG3 is associated with how gluten affects the skin, so that would be a test that you would find dermatitis herpetiformis, the skin condition associated with celiac disease, and then they've named TTG6 as the association with celiac and how it affects the nervous system. Now understand these, the tests, the 3 and the 6, are not widely available yet. I do know of one lab that's coming out with the 6, Celiacs labs, very shortly, and that will be very good because once again, anything that will broaden our ability to diagnose celiac and gluten sensitivity will improve the lives of so many. So do know that these tests are on the horizon. They'll make great impact, and as I said, we only know what 3 out of 9 do, so we have 6 more to discover. And imagine one for thyroid and one for heart and one for joints, and then we can really start having a nice battery of tests to help us in this diagnosis that we're, as I said, kind of faltering badly on at the moment. But in the meantime, we don't have to wait for these tests because it could take years. What we can do is increase our awareness, share it with others, get tested, change the diet, and really see, is gluten having an impact on you or someone that you care about? So I hope you found this informative, and please let me know if you have any questions or comments. I do love to hear from you. And until next time, I wish you very good health.